Swivel is very critical with this technique because when you're burning a floating worm, if you do not have a barrel swivel on your line, it's going to twist your line like a mother. I mean, really, really bad. So put a barrel swivel about a foot above the floating worm. And then what you want to do is you want to rig it with a straight shank. This is a Gamakatsu G Finesse. I'll link this in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description, this particular hook. This is a little big here. I don't use one this big. I usually use like a 2-aught. And then I use a Zoom trick worm. A lot of different colors, just depending on the water clarity. And one of the things about rigging this, I'll tell you about rigging this for this burning technique, is what you want to do on the trick worm, you've got a flat side here and you got a rounded side. You want this hook to come out the rounded side. So start out, I'm going to thread it through. You do not want to, don't ever use an EWG hook on a floating worm, guys. That's a terrible hook to use on it. You can't get the best action. Use a straight shank hook all the time. It's Gamakatsu G Finesse. But you want to thread it and you want to come out the middle of the egg sac. See the egg sacs right there? So just go nice and slow and get it where you're coming out the top of the egg sac. And then come out like that. And you want to rig it. You want to rig it with a little bit of a crook in it. You don't ever want to rig a floating worm straight like that. Just always make just a little tiny crook, and the crook will give it a better action when you do that. So that's the setup with it. And I throw it on a spinning rod all the time. Most of the time I throw it, you guys hear me talk, I don't use braid to fluorocarbon. This is the only time that I do use braid to fluorocarbon, but I use it a barrel swivel. So I'll usually take like 15-pound test, Seaguar Smackdown braid, and the reason that I'm using braid to fluorocarbon on this is that you can make a longer cast and the braid is pretty much out of the water. You're not even seeing the braid, so that's not a visibility factor. So I'm rigging it like that, 10 to 15 pound test Seaguar Smackdown with about a 10-pound test Seaguar Invisex, about a foot or foot and a half long leader, Seaguar Invisex fluorocarbon line. That's my setup. Megabass spinning rod. You don't want to throw it on a bait caster. You can't burn a floating worm on a bait caster. You can't get the action. So that's the setup. The next thing you want to do, guys, let me grab a spinning rod here real quick, is the spinning rod is everything with this technique. Don't even try to attempt it with a bait caster. There's two baits that you never want to throw on a bait caster. One is a jerk bait we talked about before. The other is a floating worm. Don't get sucked into people trying to tell you that it's okay to throw a jerkbait or a floating worm on a bait caster, because it's not. Okay, so what you want to do here is with the floating worm with the burning technique is you cast it out there and you want to keep your rod tip at about a 9 or 10